We're going to talk about, or you can tell us about your time in Oskaloosa. So kind of a little bit of history of you and maybe your family.
Okay. The Walling family's been here for about 6 or 7 generations. 3 of them worked and owned the Herald office, the newspaper. My son's the youngest that lives here, and he works for Musco. My wife, Deborah, is a native Oskaloosan also, and she works for Secondary Roads. And I have a daughter that works for General Dynamics in Virginia.
All right.
And I got 2 dogs.
2 dogs?
Will and Addie.
What kind are they?
Will is a Labrador, and Addie is a Golden Doodle.
Well, those are good dogs.
We like them.
Oh. The most basic of question is, why do you want to run for city council?
Oh, okay. I've enjoyed it. I've been in 8 years. I had mentioned in the first 2 terms I'd probably only run 2 terms, but through some delays and getting things done we wanted, I decided to run the 3rd term. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Oskaloosa. I love Oskaloosa. My heart's here, and I think I'm helping. And the voters will decide.
Well, so infrastructure is one of those things that everybody's been talking about as a main point of discussion. And roads always have been a top priority ever since you came onto the council. So if you were elected to another term on the council, what's the plan for Oskaloosa's roads, and how will they be paid for?
Okay. Well, as you can see in the last 8 years, we've done a lot of road work. The tough part of that story is we brought in ISU, and they surveyed all the roads and told us which ones needed rebuilt from the ground up, and that includes the infrastructure under them, the road bed, and the topping. Okay, so we've had to make decisions, or we've elected as a group, we're going to do decisions to do note service roads and then have to tear them up and redo the infrastructure if we can help it. Now sometimes that still happens. And the problem is, if you do a roadway with all that included, the cost per block is very expensive. I don't have the number on top of my head, but it is very expensive. So, with that said, you can't do them all. This will be a long haul. It's been 100 years using up the infrastructure, and pretty much the United States is all in that boat, and we're just trying to get a handle on it. But I think our record shows we've done a pretty good job. You can actually drive a path around Oskaloosa on some pretty nice smooth roads. Have I answered that all completely?
Yep.
I can talk forever, but I.
Yeah, I was going to say roads are one of those things that everybody is an easy gauge of city council. I think for the average Oskaloosan, they gauge their city council by.
Well, and we 4 of us did run on that 8 years ago because it was needed, and like I said, we have got some good track record of doing that, but it's not just a buzzword. Like I said, the infrastructure, it is bad. It needs replaced, and we've got to work on it. There's Meadow Creek development, and there's a lot of high tax-paying dollar people out there, and they've got a new road because it's a new development, but for some reason the concrete has failed, and they'd like to have it replaced, and we'd like to replace it for them. But again, we made the conscious decision to do the roads that would give us the biggest bang for the buck and have the most traffic. Problem in on a dead-end development like Meadow Creek, you know, their company and their family, their company and their families use that, but everybody doesn't drive through Meadow Creek every day. So as you can see, the ones we have done are high-traveled areas, and we'll work our way out. Now in the budget process for 2018 and 2019, you know, we're hoping that we can spend some money out in the residential area because there are some streets, and that area that I mentioned is one that really does need some attention.
And you were talking about the infrastructure that lies underneath those roads, and you guys have been doing comprehensive work as you go block by block, fixing some of this. But that ultimately is leading to some pretty high sewer bills and some water bills, and that has been a point of discussion within the community, is the cost of those.
Good question, and I'd like to touch on that. Yes, it is expensive, and we have been doing it. Right now, we run those funds as we do it with the cash we have. We've had some grant money and probably some federal help in some cases. I don't recall exactly which ones, but pretty much we do it on a cash basis. Now, in the last 8 years, we've had some people that are really concerned about Oskaloosa and willing to say, well, we would pay higher taxes if we could see something for it, like nice roads to drive on. So, we're looking at, we may bond to get a little farther along in some of these areas. And that would help fund it too, but it does raise taxes. The water rates and the sewer rates going up have taken some pretty hard hits. You probably saw the council, we feuded with the water department for a little bit, but that got over with. The water department and the wastewater departments are merged together. They're managed by the water department, and that's working out well. It kept us from going to get a third party to run our wastewater plant, and I think that's a good thing.
So you guys were forced, from my understanding, by the DNR because they had sent so many mandates down. You guys, what's your response to the DNR, or do you guys respond to the DNR? And this is cumbersome for our taxpayers. This is very expensive.
Yeah. You don't tell the federal government no. Now, our city manager does a good job of communicating with him, and Chad Kuhn and Akilish with them. And actually, just recently we had a reprieve that you usually don't hear of. They extended our deadlines. But the bottom line is, yes, so far they've told us, we have to upgrade our wastewater facility. And if you don't know it, in Oskaloosa we have two. We have the north plant and the south plant. And this is all tentatively, but the tentative fix for those wastewater plants would be, we would turn the north plant into a large pumping station and pump it to the south plant and upgrade the south plant, trying to keep some of the costs down. Lost my thought there.
It's going to be approximately $30 million to complete.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that, but you're in the ballpark, you know that. The other side of wastewater is this infrastructure, again, we've talked about. We've got wooden water pipes, we've got plugs, clay tile, we got a lot of things leaking underground. And I don't want anybody to panic. There's no problem sewers leaking into domestic water, okay? But things do leak, and if you put excess water, first of all, let's just say the water is leaking. It's treated water that costs the taxpayer at the treatment plant to treat it, but if it gets under the road trying to get to your home and it's leaking and it ends, there's a cost. You just leaked out treated water and wasted water. The other thing is, it'll find its way into the storm sewer or the sanitary sewer, and then it goes through our plants, and plants are run by volume of material going through them. So it ups that. And then we really get in trouble when it rains and have heavy rains, because there's more water to go through the wastewater plant than it was ever built to handle. Yep. And like I said, this is a nationwide problem. If you're doing traveling, the EPA and the DNR worked this up. They took the Mississippi River Valley and worked their way off the Mississippi up into, and now it came up the Des Moines River, and it gets to us. I mean, everybody along the Mississippi, they've all gone through this already, these upgrades.
And we'll start to touch on the Early Childhood Development Center. That's another big project that the city of Oskaloosa is going to be tackling. Give me your thoughts about that. Why is that important for Oskaloosa, and do you have any concerns about that for in the future?
Okay, very good. Another very good topic. Doug Yates and I and the mayor sit on a committee that are helping the Y and the child care with the school system involved to see what we can build for what we have, since the county backed out, and that's moving forward. I'm pretty impatient. It's moving slow, but everybody assures me, Tom, we're on the, we're going in the right direction. Do we need it? I think we do. I've been in business here for 45 years. I used to have to take new people around, young couples that were coming in to be technicians. They either had, the wife would be pregnant, or they had little kids, and you had to take them to look at our school system, okay? There wasn't anything to show until we got that problem fixed. And I'm getting a little off base, and I lost my train of thought.
So early childhood development.
Yeah, okay. So back to the fact, I think we need it. We have to figure out what we can afford. We've already spent a lot of money in studies and had public input, so we know what the public wants, again, if we can afford it. And we're studying who's going to own the building, how the building's going to be paid for, and longevity. If you build this, the Y historically, which is rec center 2 or daycare, or was, they moved the daycare out, but they need to combine that into one building, has struggled with maintenance costs, okay? Ys don't fund themselves as a rule, but there's a plan to have that grow, and at least funding it. But the biggest probability is the city's going to own that building, and we'll be responsible for some of the large capital maintenance expenses. But again, that's not all totally decided yet.
Well, and we're all kind of in economic development in Oskaloosa, and another one of those key pieces that's been 10 years or more in the making is the regional airport. And going forward, I mean, do you still continue to support the airport as you have in the past? And why do you see that as important for Oskaloosa?
Yes, sir, they do. I've sat in large rooms with 500 people that probably didn't want the airport, okay? It wasn't any fun, but I've had the same story all along. When this came up, I perceived it as the future for Mahaska County and Oskaloosa. The vision is to have a corridor between Oskaloosa and Pella, and that building that airport halfway between on a 4-lane road will help that fill in with economic development. That's what we hope and we propose. And my pet peeve have been for 20-some years, and we've tried different ways to approach it. I think we'll end up with 66 counties or 33 counties in Iowa. And it's important, when you're already sitting in the county seat, that you want to continue to be a center for the state of Iowa. And that's what the goal about the airport's about. Yes, people need it. Corporations have told us they need it. And the argument about there's airports that aren't too far away is very true. But these people fly enough, and they've said it would be handier if it's close. And if it builds the economic development, it'll be great. That airport's not going to get built unless the federal government builds it. They've told us we can sell both the airports and put that money towards it, but it's going to be a federally funded airport.
So there's no city tax dollars or county tax dollars that are going to fund the airport?
There's no county. They never voted. They were supposed to work on the road, but now they're trying to get out. We'll see where that goes. I'm not going to say there's no dollars, Ken, but as far as the building and the operation of it, of course the operation we won't know until we get there, but the plan is the fees will go to run the airport. That's where, if you go back to the federal government, that's why, if you'd like to say, I'd like to say, hey, times are tough, federal government, why don't you, maybe we don't need all these airports, let's build something we need. Well, the way it's set up is aviation gas goes in that fund. It can only be spent on airports, so that means there's a pot for us to go to if we want to build an airport, and that's what we've done, or that's the intent to do that, okay?
Okay. And those last two projects, both the childhood development and the airport, have showcased that there's a divide between urban and city folks, and in a general basis.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us are still friends with each other, but philosophically we differ in some of that. How do you or how would you propose that divide get narrowed and have a cooperative?
Ken, that's a tough one, and I've talked a lot about it. I've talked to a lot of people. There's a set of farmers, you know, I told them in those meetings I've been in, if somebody came to Debbie and I's door and said, hey, you're moving, we would fight that because we love our home, we love our town. We would fight that with everything we have. I don't know if I'd win, but we would be against that. But the biggest problem we have is, and again, this is to me a national-wide problem, people don't know how to negotiate anymore. It's, I want my way, and the other guy wants his way. And there's no meeting in the road. It's got to be met in the road. I talked to Mark Grunerdijk when he ran, and now he's a supervisor, and I think Mark thinks. You know, him and I, we agreed to disagree on the airport, but I'm trying to work with him on other projects. You know, we need to get along. There's still a lot of people out there that are just dividing. If you live in Oskaloosa, we don't want anything to do with you, or if you live in the county, we don't want anything to do with you. But those on the city council and the city government, we don't feel that way. It's all one town, all one county, and we want it to be best for the future.
So we've been talking about infrastructure, and a lot of those things that have taken vision are starting to come into fruition now. But you're going to be in a place, if you were reelected, to help continue building that vision. So if you were to look 10 years down the road or 25 years down the road, what other projects would you see as far as your vision would go for Oskaloosa?
Well, I could visualize a lot, and the council spends a lot of time. We have 7 or 8 pages of projects. Some are in process, some are progress, some are coming, some are ones we'd want to do. And I said the other day, you just can't have everything you want. So prioritizing is the tough part, but I don't mind doing that and making those tough decisions. Roads and infrastructure will be it, but until we get the wastewater part figured out and what those costs are going to be, you know, it's hard to say where that money is going to go. If the citizens have the wherewithal to let us bond, you know, we'd be able to do some other projects. But if you put all that on the plate we've already talked about today, the Y, the daycare, the airport isn't really a problem with that. And the roads we have and the wastewater plants, it's a pretty full plate. You know, the town's only barely 12,000, isn't quite 12,000 people, and taxes can only handle so much.
We as a community, and a lot of this goes towards economic development growing, and codes have been a huge topic that I've come across, other candidates have talked about. If you're reelected, do you think that there's codes that are hindering our development? Do you think that they're where they need to be? And would you, or how would you address those in the future?
Another good question. Codes are my pet peeve. I've been in construction my whole life. And I've educated the council, and they've listened. They haven't really always voted with me. Code books are all rewritten every 3 years. And they're done by people that do it for a living. Okay? And we all know when you do something for a living, if it's not needed, you won't have a job. So there's no way they're ever going to redo the code every 3 years. I don't care which code, you can pick any code, there's lots of codes. Pick a code, they're going to add to it. Okay? And the liberal side of the world has gotten a hold of codes, and they're always trying to save ourselves from ourselves. And there's got to be some common sense and some back off on that. The last update on the, was it the building code or the mechanical code? I think it was the building code. I voted against it, and the other 6 voted for it. There's a couple on there that believe exactly the way I feel, but they knew it was going to go through. But I just wanted to make a point. You have to look at these codes. When we worked on and we're probably going to talk about rental pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
But when we looked at that rental code, first time, was it 3 or 4 years ago, it was proposed to do it and adopt another official code. It's called the Residential Property Code. And I read that cover to cover twice. and I came back to the next study session. I said, I'm not voting for the whole code book. If you want to go through it and pick out some codes that we don't already have in our book that's this thick, I'm okay with that, but it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of time. But they just want to adopt it in its entirety. He says, I'm not going to do it. It says in there, I can't paint my own car or my own garage. And that's not what America's built on. It's my garage, it's my time, my car. Now, I can't endanger my neighbor, but it still says that. So you have to watch codes. It's always tough to write rules. If you take a rule book in a company, we have a company policy book. Bad thing about company policies, they always protect the problem and then they hinder everybody else that's doing it right. But that's the way rules work. And so I'm against that. You got to have some things. Oskaloosa is a very good example. For years, anything went here. And I've been in houses that, you know, the mechanical and the electrical and the plumbing, it's not safe, it's not right. The homeowner that buys it the next time gets something unexpected. So codes keep that from happening. But you still got to have some common sense.
Do you think that our current codes and enforcement is hindering economic development in Oskaloosa?
That's a possibility because it's black and white. But I keep saying we should be able to find somebody. Again, people need to be able to compromise, and we can compromise in the middle. Now again, just like you said a little bit ago, you can't show favoritism. If you call one way for somebody, you're going to call it that way for the other. But you still need some common sense to keep that from happening. I know it's taking a lot of hits, but I'm not sure it's the whole problem with building in Oskaloosa. There's a lot of building going on in Oskaloosa right today. I made the comment a while back, there's more backhoes in this town tearing down things and building new structures than I've seen, and I've lived here all 64 years. So if it's a hindrance, it really doesn't look like it. But now there are builders that have come up with problems, and I'm not sure if they've been addressed totally correct, but they quoted the codes. And if the codes aren't right, we'll have to change them. I've asked contractors to call me, and I've got some that are working with me, but usually it's just a specific item and go forth. Now, well, you're going to bring up the rental, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's next?
Okay.
So go ahead, fire away.
Well, on the rental, I think we ended up 4-3 on that, whatever. I voted for it. The last time I didn't vote for it, like I already said. This time we did it. We wrote our own, and and I think we spent enough time. I know Doug Yates and I, and probably Aaron and Tom, we both pushed back. They were trying to do it too fast, and we were trying to do it too fast. And we got it slowed down. We got it worked through. We had a lot of input. It's not perfect. I just spent an hour on the phone today with the landlord, and I've told everybody the same thing. If I'm still on there, I've promised we're going to do this a year and see how it works. It's going to take 3 years to do all the inspections, but if it doesn't work, we'll either tweak it or we made it, we can get rid of it. But we're going to wait and see if it doesn't help.
And what's the ultimate goal that's looking to be achieved out of this program?
The ultimate goal is not revenue, like some people want to say. It's to make rental properties look good, be safe, and make proud of our town. And the biggest negative about that, the people say, and they're right, okay, we're just picking on the rentals. How about property? There's a lot of home-owned properties that don't look very well, and we know that. But, you know, in America, you can't walk onto a property and just tell a guy, hey, we don't like the way your place looks, fix it. That's not what we're built on. But you do need some community pride, and we're working through that. The fire department is helping us with that. It hasn't been a fun job for them, but they've done a good job, and they've had people, you know, listen and take note. And I think it's showing already. Now, there's always somebody trying to figure out how to get around things. I'm sure there'll be some rentals that all of a sudden they won't be rentals anymore because they sold them on contract, and now that doesn't fall under the rental agreement. Okay. So it's a contract or a mortgage, if you will. So that beats it. But we're just trying to get a handle on it.
All right. And we're going to start winding down here pretty soon. So is there something that I haven't touched on that you you'd like to have mentioned yourself or had me mention?
The comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Have a lot of people talk about we don't have one. Well, we do have one. It was done in, I believe, 2000, and a supplement done in 2001. I'm not sure I got the years right, but I have both copies. I read them a lot, and it's amazing. It's kind of fun to read. A lot of stuff that the group that did those put together, a lot of it's been happened already, and it needs updated. So that's what we do need to do. We haven't officially, because it takes more money. You have to spend money. You get people that do that for a living involved to rewrite it and publish a approved method. But we do have, and I know the city manager just recently made sure that the Oskaloosa projects list update was updated again in October 2017, is on the city website. And if you're really interested, you can go in there and look at that whole list. It's all there. It'd be hard to put something on that list that isn't there, I think. But if there is, come to city council and tell us about it. We'd love it. But it's on there. But again, it's priorities, and you can only get so much done with so much money.
And my last bit for you is, why should somebody vote for Tom Wallen?
If you've watched me on TV, and I have a lot of people tell me that, and I always have the same answer. I says, well, I appreciate you watching on TV, but always remember, you can hear me, but I can't see you. People don't come to council meetings. It's amazing. We get more people at council meeting for something trivial than we do when we write a budget for the whole year. But why you should vote for me, what you've seen me do in the last 8 years, I've made some mistakes. I'm only human. I'd be glad to tell you my mistakes. That if I could do it over again, I would do it over. But on the whole, I think we've done it right. The group has worked real closely together. Now, if you watch the first 4 years I was in there, we had a lot of 6-0, 7-0 votes. No, 6-1, 7-0. The last 4 years, we had a lot of 3 and 4s, 4 to 3s. I was usually in the middle of those 3 to 4, 4 to 3 votes. I like to think on my feet. I like common sense. I don't just go along with the norm. And I really, truly love Oskaloosa, so I want the best for Oskaloosa. And that's how I look at everything I do.